I'm going to take you through a little routine where you can do the reformer workout on the mat. So I'm going to give you the example on the reformer and then give you the example on the mat. So come along, have a little play. Okay, so if we're thinking of, say, scooter on the reformer, which is brilliant for activating through the glutes, I'll start with, I'm on a balanced body machine, so I'll do a red and a yellow spring. Just to begin, in fact, just go one red. Just starting in this shape here where you, I always kind of explain it where you're sitting your buttocks back as though you're about to sit onto a low bar stool. Your standing leg is directly beneath, well, the knee is over the heel or thereabouts. So I'm kind of actually sitting back. I'm not leaning forward. And then with hands on hips, I'm going to just start to press the carriage back until I find a straight leg or as much hip extension as possible. And then keeping my body still in space, I'm simply just going to bend my knee back in. So what's working here is the glutes of your standing leg. So really holding firm. And I like to think of slightly externally rotating that hip of the standing leg. And as I press back into the moving leg, really aiming the heel into the shoulder rest. So at that point, when the leg is fully extended, I can feel my hamstrings, I can feel my glutes, my abdominals are drawn in, I've got all of that support. So the majority of the work here I feel in the standing leg, and it's at that point of extending the back leg that I can really feel the glute working, hip extensor. What I want you to kind of consider here as you're doing it is when you are doing that position or doing that movement, when you're all the way back here, don't just let the carriage pull you back in. I want you to still keep your back heel anchored and heavy, almost as though you were resisting the movement of the carriage back in. So we've got hip disassociation going on here. I'm able to move my leg beneath me without my pelvis going all over the place. So if I was perhaps to do it wrong, my pelvis might shift forward, my tailbone might tuck under, where ultimately I want to be able to keep the pelvis neutral as the leg moves back and forward. And again, I'm in that slight lean back shape. So that's the version on the reformer. If you wanted to do this on the mat, you could grab yourself a Swiss ball. You could have something just to hold on to at the start. Of course, you're not going to have the exact same resistance with this, but it's brilliant for balance, still brilliant for that standing leg alignment. So we sit back as though you're about to sit into that low bar stool. You can have something to hold on to in front, and then just extend the leg back and pull it back in. And once you're out there, see if you could really straighten the knee, feel that connection into that moving leg glute, and come back in. So you could make it as much about balance as you want. You could make it more about really sitting into the heel and finding the hip extension as the leg reaches back. So playing around with those as an idea is really nice. So if, for example, you've done this in class, like I just did on the reformer, and you want to be able to kind of replicate it at home, these are the things that you can do. So I've just got a chair in front of me. You can't quite see that. You're going to be pressing back. Exact same sort of start position. I'm leaning back with it. Same idea. I want to keep my pelvis still as the leg moves forward and backward. But now it's slightly challenging, more challenging, because this ball can go in any direction, whereas when you're on the reformer, it's just that sagittal plane back and forward. So a nice thing to kind of bring into it. Okay, so our next variation is kneeling arms. So I'm just going to keep her on one red for now. Coming into a high kneel, grabbing hold of the short straps, finding your neutral pelvis. So the pubic bone is zipping up, tummy's drawing in, arms along beside you, and I want you to get a sense of your collarbones being super wide here. As I press back, I'm drawing my abdominals in first, pressing back through the arms, keeping the neck long and soft, and then reaching the arms forward. So collarbones are wide, arms press back, and the tummy muscles are working a lot in this shape. It doesn't look like it, but they're working a lot to kind of stop you from just collapsing forward. So if you were to do a version of this at home, you'd need a resistance band. All these props are super duper affordable. TheraBand you can get from lots of cheaper stores like Kmart and Warehouse, Target. Glue your ankles and knees together if you want a little more challenge for your balance. Have the strap around the front of your knees or shins. Again, widen across your collarbones. I'm really picky with what happens with your wrists here. So keep the center of your wrist in line with your middle finger. Lead with your pinky fingers as you press back. And the cool thing here is you can control how much resistance you have on the band. So the further down the ends of the band you hold, the least amount of resistance you're going to get. And again, really widening across the collarbones. I'll show you a version here of what I like to call the offering, and then I'll show you it on the reformer. So if you're facing the foot bar on the reformer, you want to do the same sort of move on the mat. Again, you can glue the ankles and knees together or keep them hip width apart. I've found a suitable amount of resistance. I'm holding the strap between my thumb and my index finger. As I exhale, I'm drawing my abdominals back as I reach the arms forward. And then I'm going to widen the arms, watching that I could keep the sense of length through both sides of my neck, so I'm not hunching up through my shoulders, and then smoothly coming back to center and bending the elbows back in again. So to see what that looks like on the reformer, I'll show you now. My watch point with that, quickly before I take it to the reformer, is as you reach the arms forward, that you're not letting your ribs go with you. So I'm holding firm through the front here. My ribs are connecting into my body as the arms extend, just to help keep my spine nice and strong in that shape. So again, if we're on the reformer, facing the foot bar, you can play around with your springs, and my advice to everyone is you always want to spring for success, whatever that looks like for you. So you can hold on to short loops, long loops, whatever works for you. Shorter loops is just going to be a little more challenging. Now, the strap is between index and thumb. Elbows are just reaching in toward the waist. Palms are facing up. So I can start in a low kneel. Same idea of what we just did a moment ago. I'm really trying to lead or rotate my pinky fingers upward to help with a little bit of external rotation through the shoulder. If I want to challenge it, you have to be super cautious coming up. You can have your feet against the shoulder rests or between the shoulder rests. But again, just be super aware and switched on when you're doing this, okay? So we want to watch for that balance and control. Arms reach forward, spine is long and strong. Arms widen, they pull back in and return. If you feel like when you're doing this, it's a little too intense, try using the longer straps, or you can reduce the spring tension. So those are just a couple of little ideas of how you can replicate what you're doing in a reformer class onto the mat and things that you can do at home. So let me know if you want to see more of that, and I'll share that, because I think it's really lovely that you can take pieces from whatever you're doing in class and apply them to a home workout. Leave me a comment, leave me a message, and I will share more of that goodness with you all soon.